Welcome to today's video. If you've ever wondered what makes certain everyday items so risky to transport, you're in the right place. Dangerous goods, often called hazardous materials, are substances or articles that pose risks to health, safety, property, or the environment during transport. They can be flammable, toxic, corrosive, explosive, or even radioactive. Because of these risks, strict international rules govern how they're packaged, labeled, documented, and moved. By the end, you'll have a clear understanding of the basics of dangerous goods. The United Nations divides dangerous goods into 9 hazard classes, each representing a different type of risk. Class 1 covers explosives, such as fireworks and ammunition, which can detonate under certain conditions. Class 2 includes gases like oxygen cylinders, propane, and aerosol sprays, which may be flammable, toxic, or simply pressurized. Class 3 is for flammable liquids, including gasoline, ethanol, and paint thinners, which ignite easily. Class 4 refers to flammable solids such as matches, magnesium, and sulfur, which can catch fire through friction or heat. Class 5 is for oxidizers and organic peroxides, like hydrogen peroxide and ammonium nitrate, which can intensify fires or react dangerously. Class 6 covers toxic and infectious substances, ranging from cyanide to medical samples containing pathogens. Class 7 is reserved for radioactive materials such as uranium or medical isotopes, which emit ionizing radiation. Class 8 includes corrosives like sulfuric acid and sodium hydroxide, capable of destroying living tissue and damaging equipment. Finally, Class 9 is a catch-all for miscellaneous dangerous goods, including lithium batteries, dry ice, and environmentally hazardous substances. Together, these 9 classes form the universal language of dangerous goods, recognized across all transport modes worldwide. Now let's look at how dangerous goods are regulated across different modes of transport. Each mode, road, rail, ocean, inland waterways, and air, has its own international framework to ensure safety and consistency worldwide. For road transport, the key regulation is the ADR, which stands for the European Agreement Concerning the International Carriage of Dangerous Goods by Road. It's managed by the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe, or UNECE. ADR sets out how dangerous goods must be packaged, labeled, and documented when transported by trucks or other road vehicles. For rail transport, we have the RID, developed under the Intergovernmental Organization for International Carriage by Rail, known as OTIF. RID aligns closely with ADR, ensuring that trains carrying hazardous materials follow the same safety principles as road transport. When it comes to ocean transport, the IMDG code, short for International Maritime Dangerous Goods Code, is the global standard. It's maintained by the International Maritime Organization, and it governs how dangerous goods are shipped by sea, including containerized cargo and bulk chemicals. For inland waterways, the ADN, the European Agreement Concerning the International Carriage of Dangerous Goods by Inland Waterways, applies. It's overseen by the Central Commission for the Navigation of the Rhine, or CCNR. ADN ensures safe transport of hazardous cargo through rivers and canals. And finally, for air transport, the IATA Dangerous Goods Regulations, or DGR, set the global standard. Managed by the International Air Transport Association, these rules are extremely strict because air transport involves higher risks. The DGR specifies packaging, labeling, and documentation requirements for all dangerous goods shipped by air. Together, these 5 frameworks, ADR, RID, IMDG, ADN, and IATA DGR, form a unified global system that keeps dangerous goods moving safely across every mode of transport. Let's take a closer look at how dangerous goods are identified and documented across different transport modes. This table summarizes the key elements: the United Nations number, the packing group, the packing instruction number, and the required documentation for each international framework. For road transport, under the ADR, every shipment must include a UN number and a packing group, which indicate the substance and its level of danger. However, packing instruction numbers don't apply here. Documentation is handled through a consignment note that includes all dangerous goods details. For rail transport, governed by the RID, the system is almost identical to ADR. You'll see the same use of UN numbers and packing groups, no PI numbers, and similar documentation requirements a consignment note with the relevant dangerous goods information. For ocean transport, the IMDG code also uses UN numbers and packing groups, but again, no PI numbers. Key difference is documentation. A shipper's dangerous goods declaration is required to confirm that the cargo has been properly classified, packaged, and labeled according to IMDG standards. For inland waterways, under the ADN, the pattern remains consistent. UN numbers and packing groups are mandatory, PI numbers are not used, and documentation is provided through a consignment note. And finally, for air transport, the IATA Dangerous Goods Regulations, or DGR, include all three identifiers: UN number, packing group, and packing instruction number. Air transport is the only mode that uses PI numbers because packaging requirements are much stricter. Documentation also requires a shipper's dangerous goods declaration, confirming compliance with IATA's safety standards. So, while all frameworks share the same foundation UN numbers and packing groups, only air transport adds packing instruction numbers, and both air and sea require formal dangerous goods declarations. This harmonized system ensures that dangerous goods are safely managed across every mode of transport. Now let's explore the 9 hazard classes of dangerous goods, the foundation of how hazardous materials are classified worldwide. Each class represents a different type of risk, and understanding them is essential for safe handling and transport. Class 1 covers explosive substances or articles that can detonate or produce a sudden release of gas and heat, like fireworks or ammunition. Class 2 includes gases, which can be flammable, toxic, or simply pressurized, such as propane, oxygen, or aerosol sprays. Class 3 is for flammable liquids, materials like gasoline, ethanol, and paint thinners that ignite easily. Class 4 refers to flammable solids, substances like matches, magnesium, or sulfur that can catch fire through friction or heat. Class 5 covers oxidizers and organic peroxides, such as hydrogen peroxide and ammonium nitrate, which can intensify fires or react dangerously. Class 6 includes toxic and infectious substances, chemicals like cyanide or biological materials that can cause poisoning or disease. Class 7 is for radioactive materials, including uranium and medical isotopes that emit ionizing radiation. Class 8 covers corrosive acids and alkalis like sulfuric acid or sodium hydroxide that can destroy living tissue and damage equipment. Let's continue with Class 4 flammable solids. These materials can ignite easily through friction, heat, or contact with air or water. Class 4 is divided into 3 categories. First, flammable solids, shown with the red and white striped label, include items like matches, magnesium, and sulfur. Next, spontaneously combustible substances, represented by the red label, can ignite without any external ignition source. Examples include phosphorus and oily cotton waste. Finally, dangerous when wet materials, shown with the blue label, react violently with water to release flammable gases. Sodium and potassium are common examples. Each label clearly identifies the hazard type, helping handlers take the right precautions during transport. Moving on to Class 5 oxidizers and organic peroxides. These substances don't burn themselves, but they can intensify fires or cause explosions when mixed with other materials. Division 5.1, marked with the yellow oxidizer label, includes chemicals like ammonium nitrate and hydrogen peroxide. Division 5.2, shown with the red and yellow organic peroxide label, covers compounds that are both oxidizing and unstable, such as benzoyl peroxide. Because of their reactive nature, Class 5 materials require strict temperature control and separation from flammable substances. Next is Class 6 toxic and infectious substances. These materials pose risks to human health either through poisoning or disease. Division 6.1, labeled with the skull and crossbones, includes toxic chemicals like cyanide and arsenic. Division 6.2, marked with the biohazard symbol, covers infectious substances such as medical samples containing viruses or bacteria. Proper packaging and labeling are critical here to prevent leaks and protect public health during transport. Now let's look at Class 7 radioactive materials, one of the most strictly controlled categories of dangerous goods. These substances emit ionizing radiation, which can be harmful to people, property, and the environment if not properly contained. Radioactive materials are used in medicine, industry, and research, for example, in medical imaging, cancer treatment, and nuclear power generation. Class 7 is divided into several categories based on the level of radiation and the type of material. The first label, radioactive I, has a white background and indicates very low radiation levels, typically safe for routine handling. The second label, radioactive II, has a yellow and white design and represents moderate radiation levels, requiring more careful handling and shielding. The third label, radioactive III, also yellow and white, marks high radiation levels. These packages need strict transport controls and must be kept away from people and other cargo. Finally, there's the fissile label, used for materials capable of nuclear fission, such as uranium-235 or plutonium. These shipments require special criticality safety measures to prevent chain reactions. Now let's look at Class 8 corrosives. These substances can destroy living tissue and corrode metals upon contact. The black and white label shows test tubes pouring liquid onto a hand and a metal surface, a clear warning of their destructive nature. Common examples include sulfuric acid, hydrochloric acid, and sodium hydroxide. When transporting corrosives, containers must be tightly sealed and resistant to chemical attack to prevent spills and injuries. Finally, we have Class 9 miscellaneous dangerous goods. This category covers materials that present hazards not covered by other classes. The label features black and white stripes and the number 9 at the bottom. Examples include lithium batteries, dry ice, and environmentally hazardous substances. These items may not be explosive or flammable, but they can still pose serious risks if mishandled, such as chemical reactions, environmental damage, or suffocation from gas release. And that wraps up our overview of dangerous goods from Class 1, explosives, all the way to Class 9 miscellaneous materials. We've seen how each class has its own unique hazards, labels, and international regulations that keep transport safe across road, rail, sea, air, and inland waterways. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like it. It really helps the channel grow. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you won't miss our next video on transport safety and logistics. And I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and tell me which class you found most interesting or surprising. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and stay curious with us from now.